Welcome to our live stream. I am honored today. This is Kelly Fasterling with eXp Realty, and I am honored today to have with me Sean Sturrock. Now, Sean is a motivational and inspirational figure for me in my business. He is a newer realtor, a little bit newer than I am, but he has created this massive business that I absolutely aspire to. So, Sean, thank you so much for coming on and joining me today.
It is an honor, Kelly. I'm looking forward to it. Thank you.
Now, Sean, in his first year as a realtor, was able to create a six-figure income and then each year build on that and multiply it. Now, first of all, most of us new in real estate, getting to that six-figure level at all in our first year is quite an accomplishment. But most of us in real estate have to go do that over and over and over again each year. What Sean has been able to build is something that multiplies on itself. So it's a little bit different. But let me go back a little bit. And you weren't always in real estate. So talk to me about your background in corporate America a little bit.
Yeah, absolutely. First of all, I'll even just touch a little bit if it connects with anybody, but I've been married to my beautiful wife now 28 years and have a couple children, live in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, 26 and 23-year-old kiddos. So just been very blessed from a family perspective, and kind of came out of college, Kelly, and I went into the corporate world. I was one of those guys who kind of looked up to my dad, respected him. We grew up kind of in a upper middle class, and he was in corporate America. I watched him climb that corporate ladder. So as his son, seeing what I thought was semi-successful, I went down the same path, got a marketing management degree, went into corporate America. I did that for I remember I was probably a good 20 years in when I started to think, goodness gracious, I got to do this up until I'm 65 or 70. And I say that to go, I was one of those people very fortunate early out of college. I got to a six-figure fairly quickly in corporate America. And this is back in the late 80s, early 90s. But
Yeah.
the interesting thing is I stayed right there at kind of that same income. And yet inflation, just everything continued to go up, and I'm still at that same income. So I found myself about 15 years ago when I was kind of getting burned out, and I was meeting entrepreneurs, people that were doing their own thing, seemed to have more flexibility and freedom, didn't have so much of a ceiling on their income. I began to get introduced to massive personal development, began to read Robert Kiyosaki books, all that kind of stuff. And my mind began to evolve into this, God, I've got to figure out a way to be an entrepreneur. I want to have endless income. And then I started to get introduced to the world of passive income and residual income. And those things fascinated me. And I was on a massive search, Kelly, to figure out how could I, for my family, create this passive income. And I dabbled in all kinds of different things. And right before getting my real estate license, me and another business partner of mine who had done several things in the past, he was a good buddy of mine, also my chiropractor for 27 years. I highly respected him, very sharp young man. And we started to go, man, why don't we get into the investment side of real estate? Maybe get some rentals and so forth. And maybe over the next 10 years, we could create a nice 5-figure month income for our families. Well, in the process of doing all that, I looked at my buddy Bill and I said, well, you know what? One of us had to get a real estate license, at least if we're going to go this avenue, save on our commission. So I went and got my real estate license. In the process of doing that, 3 weeks before taking my test to become a realtor, I happened to be sitting with a good friend of mine. He and his wife, Rob and Jen, were good friends with my wife and I, Sonia and I, and we're having dinner one night. Long story short, he starts to give me a stock tip, Kelly. He knew I played around the stock market and crypto and so forth. And I kept asking him questions about it and began to realize this was a brokerage he was talking about. As I asked him more questions, I realized he was part of this brokerage. Well, he was my good buddy I'd known forever, very successful in real estate, but had been kind of retired out of the real estate industry for about 10 to 15 years. He was more on the investor side and so forth, but he came out of retirement to get back into real estate to be a realtor with this new brokerage model. And as I began to ask him questions about it, realized he was a part of it, I looked at Rob and went, Rob, so you came out of retirement to join this brokerage? I'll never forget, Kelly, he looked at me and said, Sean, I would not have done it, but I'm telling you right now, this is going to change the landscape of real estate and the way agents are compensated. Well, I highly respected Rob. He was a multimillionaire, somebody I highly looked up to. And he happened to be giving a webinar that night. He had already asked permission before he came over for dinner that night. He said, hey, I'm going to be giving a webinar later tonight. Would you mind? Is there a place I could step away and do it? I didn't know what he was talking about other than, oh my gosh, yeah, Rob. Well, came over before doing the webinar. That's when we're at dinner. I'm asking all these questions, realized it's a brokerage. And when I told him, man, I'm about to get my license here in 3 weeks, he looked back at me and said, have you ever heard of EXP Realty? I said, no. And he goes, you might want to check this thing out. So I sat in the background in my office in my house while he did a nationwide webinar. But I say this, Kelly, to go, I was in a very unique position. When I saw that, to make a long story short, me and this other business partner, my Bill, we had both lost a huge chunk of money about a year prior. It was an oil and gas investment that just went south. Not to get into the details, there was about a half a dozen of us thought it was a done deal, like a 98% chance we're going to make 3 to 4 times our money in like 6 to 9 months. Well,
Right.
oil and gas industry happened to tank at that time. We lost everything. I only say that to go, I was in a position at 50 years old, married, children, and I had just lost my savings. And I'm going, oh my gosh. I was almost in the fetal position, Kelly, to be frank with you. And I'd been praying, my wife and I, man, God, give me something. And when I saw this model for the first time, I remember I began to kind of tremble, like, oh my gosh, is this what you're going to put in my path? When I saw the multiple streams of income that were available through this brokerage, how it could literally bless agents and brokers all over the country, I got very excited about what if this was it? What if this was a way for me to replenish what I lost and then some? And so I got started, and oh my gosh, it has been the most amazing, incredible blessing that's ever happened to my family. But what I love about that statement is that does not take place if I'm not helping a bunch of other agents. So I got very excited about the model, and things took off for me. I was very fortunate as an agent that I found this model to begin with. Because of the multiple streams, it has allowed me to excel my real estate business and bring a lot of agents with me.
Well, and as you started, you and Bill are going to do some fix and flips. You're going to do some investing,
Correct.
and you're going to get your license. And so you're in that process. You're 3 weeks away from your test. You get introduced to EXP. Did you ever go down that path then of doing those real estate
Very
investments?
interesting. Very interesting. And I'm kind of looking at it more so today on the back end now, but I'm going to say did not go that reason because one of the paths that this brokerage EXP had was that I could create passive residual income by attracting good quality agents to this brokerage. Well, I was so excited about the model and what it could do. And let me maybe preface it this way. When I saw the presentation for the first time from Rob that night, I'll never forget when it was over, Kelly. He looked back at me and he said, well, give me some feedback. Well, what are your thoughts on this? And I remember looking back at Rob, and I knew enough about real estate. I'd already bought 3 houses myself, had about a dozen friends in real estate. And I looked back at Rob and I said, oh my gosh, okay, this is amazing. So you mean to tell me there's multiple ways agents can get paid? May I ask you, how many other brokerages offer this kind of model? I'll never forget. He looked back at me, Kelly, and he went, Sean, none that we're aware of. And I remember going, well, Rob, if this is a real thing, then why wouldn't every agent just join DXP? And he kind of looked at me and laughed and said, well, Sean, one day we think they will. There was about 3,500 agents when I looked at it. You and I both know we fast forward today, 5.5 years later, we're closing in on 90,000 agents.
Right.
And I always tell everybody, it's all because of the value that EXP provides. Well, I was able, thank God, to see that value on the front end. And to kind of wrap this in a bow, the reason I think this thing took off on me is I truly wanted to know what I had about a dozen friends that were in real estate when I first got my license. And when I saw this model and what I perceived it could do for agents and brokers, I reached out to my 12 agent friends. These were all good friends of mine who said, man, will you do me a favor? I just got my real estate license and I've seen something unlike anything I've ever seen in the marketplace. Would you please just jump on a webinar sometime the next week or two and give me your sincere, honest feedback? Well, Kelly, I did that. And 10 of those 12 agents within the first 7 months came on board with me. And I watched my life begin to change and evolve very quickly. And within 1 year, I was well over 5 figures a month in passive income. And I'm thinking, oh my gosh, this is incredible. And I kept seeing agents come on that were huge quality agents doing 5, 10, 20, and 25 million in production that were seeing this model after 10 and 20 years experience and going, oh my gosh. And they were starting to come in faster and faster. And my confidence just rose as to what this could do for agents if they just knew this model existed. And so I began to go down that path. And like we always say, the rest is history. And it's been an unbelievable ride up to this point.
Well, and I know you've done just an incredible job growing and building your team. Tell me just a couple stories of a couple of your agents and what this model has helped them with. They're producing realtors. They're out there making this thing happen. Your story is a little bit different and a little different journey, but what about for those producing realtors? What has it done for a few of them?
Yeah, let me tell you a couple of them that are so dear to my heart because their lives have been transformed. So probably my eighth or ninth agent to reach out to is a gentleman you know by the name of Jeff. We'll keep last names at bay. But I reached out to Jeff, and Jeff had been in the industry since the year 2000. He was a very successful agent, he and his wife, and they were doing, somewhere around that 12, 15 million pretty consistently. He saw the model, and within a matter of a couple of weeks, he came on board. To show you how powerful this is and to expand on this story, I'm in Dallas, Fort Worth, and Jeff is up in Colorado Springs. Right after Jeff comes on board, in the very first week, he reaches out to one of his best buddies back in my backyard. His name is Aaron. Aaron had been in the industry also since the year 2000. They both met each other in the Craig Proctor coaching program.
Yeah.
Well, he reaches out to Aaron, and because I'm here in Dallas, I get on there with him. Matter of fact, I even go over to Aaron's office. I did a presentation. We'll give you a little background on Aaron. Yes, had been in since the year 2000. He was a major producer. He was doing anywhere between 20 to 25 million on his own, but he was an independent broker at that time. We reached out to him, been running his brokerage for about 7 years and had 9 agents. They were doing about 47 million in production. Well, he was the rainmaker, Kelly, doing about 23 of the 47 million. We sat down with Aaron, showed him the entire presentation and broke it down for him. When he backed out his numbers, his 23 million, and pulled it out, his office was upside down. He had been running this business nonstop and basically paying for his agents in his office because of his production. He was so burnt out, so stressed out. He had over a $300,000 a year worth of expenses, a standalone building, the whole thing. When he saw this model, he decided to come on board. Let me tell you this story. Unbelievable. Being a big producer, first of all, he got rid of over $300,000 worth of expenses within the first year. Wow. He brought 5 of his 9 agents came over with him. The 4 that didn't come were kind of brand new agents, so he wasn't really losing anything. But you fast forward 2.5 years later for Aaron, just on their equity piece alone, we give ownership to our agents by simply doing transactions. You also get a secondary income stream through equity ownership, right, through stock. Well, within 2.5 years, Aaron had reached $1.2 million in equity ownership of stock. Wow. He cashed out 1,000 shares, paid his house off, his cars off, 100% debt free. Aaron said he picked up the phone right after he paid everything off, called Jeff back and said, Jeff, man, I've been in real estate now for 19 years, and the last 2.5 years have entirely changed my life. Thank you so much for just reaching out to me and sharing this incredible model. That is mind-boggling, right? Aaron still thanks Jeff today, and it's been now about 4.5 years. Give you one other example, just on the equity piece. I've got a lady here in my backyard. Her name is Nicole, and Nicole's been in the industry for about 20 years. She had been at several brokerages. When I reached out to her, she was at KW. She'd been over there for about 7 or 8 years, doing about 13, 14 million, pretty good size producer consistently again. Show her the model. I'll never forget, I wasn't even halfway through the presentation. She always tells me in the back of her mind, she was like, I've got to do this. I'd be crazy not to give it a try. When she saw the equity piece, she went, okay, I'm a big producer. If this is true and I'm still going to get paid the same way I always would, but you're going to give me this equity piece, she's like, you know what? I'll come try it for a year. If it's not everything it's meant to be, I could always go back where I was. She came over. Not only did her production go up, she went from 13 million to 15 million to 18 million to 21 and did 23 million last year in 2022, her biggest year she's ever had. Same thing as Aaron. She had gathered so much stock and equity that this year, I just found this out about 2 months ago. I interviewed her like you and I are doing. And Nicole said to me, Sean, I am purposely this year going to do 6 to 8 million. I'm not doing the 23 million anymore. So she has now taken about 15 million of her production and she's given it out to EXP agents all over here in Dallas and doing a 25-75 split. Why? Because she can and she wanted to. She has pulled the throttle back on her personal production. Why? Her equity stock and her revenue share, which is the residual piece, have now outpaced what she was doing in production. And she's slowly working her way into retirement at an early age. But she said, Sean, I'll continue to now. And she can do it like it's the back of her hand. She can do 6 to 8 million. She's used to doing 20 million, right? She goes, I'm going to do this for probably 2 to 3 more years. And my husband and I, because of this model, will be multimillionaires just from the equity alone. These stories, you know the deal, Kelly, they're endless. They're all over the country and now worldwide. But to have them as part of my team and to see people almost getting emotional like I did because this model has not just helped their business, it's radically changed their life. I mean, it's truly amazing.
Exactly. Now, these were top producing agents. They were
Yeah.
solid agents. They had their business. They were probably getting a lot of referral business.
Yeah.
Do you have good stories with a newer agent, somebody that really didn't have that referral base and they're just trying to figure out how to be a realtor after they took their test?
I
Tell me
do.
a story like that.
So I got a gentleman that I reached out to about 3.5 years ago out of Little Rock, Arkansas. His name was Daniel. Daniel had only been in real estate for about a year and a half. He was around that 2.5 million, just struggling to really get it to where he's making a good living. He decides to come over here because of everything we offer to help newer agents elevate their business and really grow it through our CRM system and all the different ways we can help them generate leads, right? Our corporate relocation program, our express offers, our referral network. There's so many things that we can give agents to help them elevate their production. He came over here. He has now been here for just over 3 years. He's icon the last 2 years. And for those watching this,
Oh,
he
wow.
grew his production of about 2.5 million. By his second year here, he was over 8 million in production. He's now created a traditional team where he's got about a half a dozen agents on a 70-30 split where he hands out leads. On the revenue share side, he's also got about another 14 to 15 agents that he's teamed up with also that are now being able to help him create passive income. So anyway, I say this today, he has grown his income by over 400% in the last 3.5 years. And again, he was a year and a half agent before coming to EXP, and is now his whole life is different to the point of in March of 2023, he's already got his business rolling up in Little Rock, Arkansas. He's moving out to Hawaii where his family is. He's going to start to build out there, and he's going to begin to work with 2 different teams because now he's got this nationwide business. It's kind of working on its own. He's getting himself up to where he's making several $100,000 a year, and his whole life is completely different. He tells me all the time, like, thank God you called me on this. I can't imagine where I'd be if I was still back at this other smaller brokerage.
Exactly. Exactly. Well, and Sean, watching you, you've created a really big business, not being in the industry. You know, when you met Rob was in the industry. Rob knew a lot of people. You did not. How did you get going in the attraction side, the talking to agents? How did you get going on that side when you really didn't know too many people?
Yeah. It's very interesting you say that or ask that question because I found myself was asking myself the same question. So after those first 30 days, right, I only knew 12 agents, and I didn't have
Got 'em all.
I only had about a half a dozen transactions my first year. So I knew a couple other agents on the other side of the transaction. But the bottom line was after 30 days, I started going, I saw what this could do for agents, but I didn't know a bunch of them. So I began to think, well, how could I reach out to other agents other than just, I didn't want to necessarily cold call, and I could go to networking events, and all that was a process. All of a sudden it hit me one day. I went, wait a second, I've got a phone like everybody else does. And I went, I've got hundreds and hundreds of names in here. These are all my friends, family, and everybody. And probably 99% of them have bought a home. So I started to go, wait a sec, they all know real estate agents. And I just began to reach out to friends and family. I always teach this now. I would just start in the A's and I would text like 20 of them a day. Just say like, hey, Kelly, how you doing? Hope you and the family are blessed. Hey, I just got my real estate license in Dallas and I'm working on a big project, looking for a good quality agent in your area I could team up with. This is exactly what I'm doing. I was working on a big project, helping bless agents in this incredible model. I say that to go within a matter of 30 days from doing those texts, I came up with several hundred agents' names who were friends of my friends. And so it was a very warm call, right? It wasn't a cold call. It was a warm call where I could now call, and we had something in common with a friend that we both knew who had obviously referred that very good quality agent to me. And that's how I began the process. And the thing just took off of the first 18 to 24 months. And I mean, it grew to well up over 1,000 agents around the United States in that first year and a half to 2 years. So it was
That is
amazing.
amazing. And I know within the first year, you were at a 6-figure pace.
Oh, yeah.
Tell me about how that has grown and changed since then.
Well, first of all, I'll say what it's done for my family and I being that I had lost everything about a year prior, again, I was starting to rack up a lot of debt right before coming to EXP, just trying to survive, right?
Yes.
And so I can tell you today, it's such an interesting position to be in where you have way more money coming in that you need for you and your family and all your outgoing expenses. So I could go all different directions with this, but I had a friend of mine that I knew years earlier who was a multimillionaire, and the guy made well over 100,000 a month. And when a bunch of us would get together when he wasn't around, we'd all go, could you imagine being him? Where every month, let's say his outgoing expenses, even if he was living a nice lavish lifestyle, were 15,000 a month. I'm like, what does he do with the other 85,000 or after taxes? What do you do with the other 45 to 50 grand a month? Never thought I'd be in that position where now what I mainly focus on is what do I do with this extra money? What is the best place to invest and continue to grow my income? So I say that to go, that's where I've been today. So if I take you along that journey though, I watched my group or my team, because again, this model is so attractive that if people just truly understood what it could do for them and their business, not just look at it, but have someone really break it down and personalize that model, plug in their numbers, plug in whatever is that's important to them, make sure we can help them with whatever that is. By doing just that, I've watched this model begin to build on its own. Now I have on average about 50 to 60 agents joining our team that you're a part of as well every single month. And Kelly, I don't know if there's 50 coming on board. I don't know 48 of them. This thing has began to evolve and build upon itself. And I still get goosebumps today. I praise God every day that I'm in a situation now where all I want to do is give back and let agents know that this model exists. Now, I'm not saying you come over here and do nothing, you start making this money. No, but you come over here and put your head down and do what you've been doing. I talk to agents been in business 5 years, 10 years, 20 plus years. I say, look, you come over here and put your head down and do what you've been doing. You will look up in 4 to 5 years from now, and at minimum, you'll have options. Meaning, like Nicole found herself with the ability to pull back the throttle on her 60, 70-hour work weeks. Now she's working 25 to 30 hours a week, traveling, spending more time with her grandkids, doing all the things she wanted to do at retirement. She's been able to do that now 10 years earlier because of this model. And we both have all these kind of stories, right, that we can share. But it's I love talking about this model because I do know that it's life-changing. If you come over here and go to work like you always have, this model can radically change your life in the next 4 to 5 years.
Well, and you said, if I heard it right, that you're bringing in 50 agents a month onto your team. Is that what you said?
Yeah, that's what's coming into the team through the
Yeah, not through the whole team.
Now,
But
yeah,
any broker in America would be amazed to have 50 agents a month. And this is just John Sturrock. This isn't EXP. This is you. This is amazing. Now, you were new in real estate, didn't know a lot of people, kind of figured it out. Do you teach people how to do this?
yes. I mean, the main thing is now if someone comes on board and they want to take advantage of all the aspects of EXP, I mean, we pay agents up to 8 different ways. Most of us focus on 3 of them. Well, 2 of them happen automatically, right? We all know we sell a house, we get paid at any brokerage. That split may vary, right? Or it's a transaction fee. But the second way we pay is automatic. That is the equity stock piece. And we pay agents up to 5 different ways. So I always give the visual analogy of, you sell a house, you get paid, but then you get stock. Sell a house, get paid, then you get stock. At some point in time, this other little stock piece starts to help build them a potential retirement income, maybe an exit plan, or again, the ability to maybe pull back the throttle, not have to work so many hours yourself, and you can start giving away stuff to your team. But the third component, which is the passive income, it's totally optional for agents, but it can be extremely lucrative for those who want to put some focus on it. So our team that we have created is called the Freedom Team. And I pulled together what I call our little rock star team. There's about 5 of us that get together that 3 of those 5 have been extremely successful in real estate, right? We're talking easy 10, 20, 25 million a year in production. Well, also they've helped develop this team where we've got agents we can bring on board who will plug into all the different systems, the websites, the drip campaigns, the lead generation, all these things that we now can plug them into to have success. Well, the same thing on the attraction side. We now have our own team has Zooms every single week. We train people, teach people. If you wanted to grow this part of the business, here's how you do it. There's a professional way to do it. And so, yes, we can plug anybody into the system that if they just follow it, right? And I always say, at least on the passive income side to growing a team, you truly can take about 30 minutes a day and we'll teach you what to do and how you can begin to create this passive income that you should be able to look up to within a year or 2, even if it was making, which it has a lot of agents, helping them make an extra $1,000, $2,000, $3,000 a month. You
Right.
start, you know the deal. You start to get to that extra 3,000 a month that comes in, whether you sell a house or not. For most people, that's covering their house payment, maybe even their car payment. This can begin to radically change people's lives. And we now have
Right.
hundreds of agents on our team who have done just that. Remember, the equity piece comes automatically. Now, a lot of them are going, they're seeing how their life has changed from this model. The production went up, the equity piece is happening. Some people wait till later after all this has happened to go, this is unbelievable what it's done for me. I know other agents, if they just knew this existed, and sometimes they get into that piece and we will help show them exactly how to do that.
Awesome. Awesome. And I've been a part of those trainings, and they have truly been life changing, motivating, gives you that capability to ask questions and walk through. And it's very personalized on, okay, I'm stuck here. What do I do here?
Exactly. Yeah.
I've loved it. Loved it. Now, I've been in, as you know, in the financial arena for many years. And when I look at the potential of what you've created, what all these team members have created, and I compare it to what we are able to create in a pension after 20, 30 years of employ, or in Social Security after 40, 50 years of contributing. And you look at all the different choices, and I've never seen anything this powerful
Yeah. Yeah.
in my life. Now, as new realtor come in, get engaged, start growing, there probably have been a couple surprises along the way. A couple things like, I just never thought it could be like that for me outside of the passive income thing. What else has just surprised you about this environment that you're in?
The relationships that have been formed.
Mhm.
It is amazing how this has almost become like family, right? Because we as a team within the big EXP umbrella, we've created this freedom team. And because we have all these Zooms literally every day of the week, you don't have to attend any of them. But for those who want to, there's a nice group of us that get in on almost every one of them. And we've all begun to form these relationships. Obviously, we have personal in face-to-face trainings, right? And we have get-togethers and all that kind of stuff throughout the year. So we all get to get together all the time like that as well. But on a daily, if not weekly basis, the relationships that I have formed now since coming on board EXP have truly been amazing. These are going to be lifelong relationships for the rest of my life. And so that is probably the biggest thing. I look back now and go, wow, I've got about 30 or 40 extremely close friends that I almost consider family now. And that I'd be willing to do anything I could to help them in any way, even outside of business. And so that's, I think, the biggest thing that has come my way is the relationships. I think if I put another one on it, it's the idea now that I've seen what's happened in my life, and knowing that deep down I get this incredible passion to go, what if I truly could continue to do this the next 5 or 10 years? And if I could bring it even another 50 to 100 people with me that could completely be set free. And what I mean by that is not having to wait till they're 65 or 70 to enjoy life, but know that if they came over here, plugged in, follow our model, they should be able to look up in a handful of years and be in a similar situation. Don't have to be right where I'm at, right? But if I can get everybody to live a lifestyle where all their bills are paid, all their expenses, and they truly can buy their life back at an early time in their life and truly start to enjoy it, that's what I'm passionate about. And I'm watching that happen. Almost every month or so now, I'll hear about a certain agent who's just their business has excelled, again, whether it's the equity or the rev share, to the point where they're now well above their expenses on their outgoing, lifestyle has completely changed because of this model. That drives me. It's a passion. To hear those stories just motivates me even more to how many other agents can we reach out to and bless.
Well, no question about that. And being in corporate America, I like you spring early, you plateau a little bit,
Yeah.
but even as a realtor, every year is a new year. Every year you're going out and chasing the business again, and market's really tough right now. Tell me what it feels like to wake up on January 1st and not have to go reset the business plan and go chase down the income that's going to cover your family's bills. Tell me what that feels like.
And I mean, it's interesting. I had an interview like this, Kelly, about 3 months ago, and it was bizarre. I remember I broke down. I got emotional. I got choked up because maybe I'm not alone, but I've had several ups and downs in my life, right? I've been at a point where I was doing pretty well. Then some things changed where all of a sudden I had more money going out than coming in. And that is not a good position, right? And we all learn this if you've been any kind of personal development. We do things for gain, right? For how do I want to say that? To avoid pain or to get pleasure, right? Well, I find myself now when you talk about every January 1st, before ever coming to EXP, sometimes those were some very painful times in life. Yet it's a new year, but I'm like, God, here I am. I'm upside down again. I got to continue to run like crazy just to stay above water. And those times that I was upside down, credit card debt, all that kind of stuff, it was such a miserable feeling that today I'm driven not just for myself, but to try to help prevent people from ever being there if they have, or to help pull them out of that, because I've been there. And I've had to borrow money from people in my family before. You talk about an embarrassing situation. I say all that to go, the pain was so strong for me in a couple occasions over the last 30 years. I don't ever want to be there again, Kelly. And now I don't want anybody else to either go there, or if they're there, I want to do everything in my power to pull them out. We all got to do what we got to do to get there. This is just a model. I can't say it enough, that if you go to work and plug yourself in, you should be able to look up in 3, 4, 5 years and life start to look different, to where hopefully you're never in that same situation that I went through, where life was kind of upside down and more money's going out than coming into the household. So January 1st to me right now, I feel blessed beyond measure to think that here it comes. January 1st, nothing changes other than my income just continues to go up. As long as I keep helping other agents, it's like this just can, there's no end in sight. The question is, again, how many can we bring with us?
Right, right. You're in Dallas. In a traditional brokerage model, you'd have agents with you in Dallas. Your team would be in Dallas. That's not how it is for you. Your team is in 50 states, 7 countries. Talk to me about how that works, how we can bless these agents in these other countries in addition to every single state in America.
Yeah. Well, this when this model got created by our owner of our company, he wanted to break down the borders. So we didn't create a franchise or anything like that. This is one big company. And we have now, so when I came on board, that we were in 38 states. And so I watched us evolve in that first year to 50 states. Then about 3 years into it, we began to open countries. And now I want to say, I think we're in 24. I don't know, we've, add a country almost every month now, but what's so interesting is there is no borders on what we're doing here. So if you're looking at this for the first time, or you're viewing this right now, just understand, no matter what place you're in, you can always build a traditional brokerage right in your local market. WeXP allows you to do that, but they've also taken down all borders. So if you know an agent anywhere in the country, a friend, an in-law, brother, sister, anybody that's in real estate, doesn't matter where they're at, we can reach out to them, share this model, and they can all take advantage of a borderless brokerage that allows you to build entirely around the world, and you can recession-proof your business, right? I mean, you start to, not be dependent upon just what's going on in my backyard in Dallas-Fort Worth, but I can take advantage of what's going on across the country, even more importantly, into other countries. So it's literally a great way to recession-proof your business, and that's what's taken place with this model. And you and I both know hundreds and hundreds of agents now that have come over to EXP that have now taken advantage of this global market that we now can have access to. And a lot of us now, let me say this just for those that are visualizing this, you don't have to have hundreds and thousands of agents to really create the kind of money that I think most people are looking for. We show all the time, I do in a presentation, you could literally, let's say it took you 2 years to maybe find a handful of agents, 6 agents, 1 agent a quarter, 3 agents a year, who saw the advantages of this model. If those 6 agents just came over here, and they're full-time agents, right, doing about $2.5 million or greater, and they each just attracted 1 agent. Let's say it took 2 years and you have 6 agents that you've personally brought on board who just bring on 1 agent. Well, that's $3,000 a month, Kelly. And you and I both know, especially as a financial person yourself, I, about 2 months ago, was sitting with my financial aide and I asked her, how much money would I have to invest in some kind of an account to kick me back $3,000 a month and not have to touch that principal? She worked out the math, came back to me and said, Sean, it'd be $840,000. So just shy of $1 million. And to think that we have seen agents on our team that have come on in less than a year, lots of them have reached that goal of making $3,000 a month passive. That is the same as if they just put $840,000 in an investment account after taxes, after expenses. So even if that took someone 2 years to do that over here, That's unbelievable to think that's opportunities available to all of us.
So true. So true. And then if those 6 brought in 6 and not just one,
Yeah, then it just gets,
the numbers multiply.
Yeah.
It's amazing. And that's where you're sitting today. And that's just amazing. Now, I see the cross around your neck. Beautiful. Your faith is a huge part of who you are and what you do. How does that play in with your real estate?
That's another one that can almost get me emotional. So many different ways. I try to live my life the best I can of high integrity, my morals, all that kind of. I get emotional thinking about it because I try to strive. Like I don't know if you've seen the Chosen yet, that series that's out. You haven't?
No.
Oh my gosh. Okay, I will send you a link over to check it out. It is unbelievable. But the closer I begin to deepen my walk, my wife and I, we spend time every morning and every evening for about a half hour or so, just getting involved in the Word, praying, and praying for a lot of other people we care about, and so forth. And all I keep finding myself is the closer I get to the Lord, is the more. How do I want to say it? I want to do everything I can to help as many people as possible, not just financially, but to find where I'm at. I'm at this place in my life right now, and I can only give thanks to above, where I've got this peace about me. And it's not just because of the financial. I've gotten closer. I've watched what's happened with my family, with my kids, with my wife and I, with our marriage, and now with our close friends that we are in contact with. We're all beginning to share this faith. It's interesting how people with faith attract others with faith, but are now also going, what can I do to introduce people to what's happened to me because of my faith walk? I want them to experience this because I got to give glory and praise to him all the time. I don't think what's happening right now would have happened had I not gone down this path about 10 years ago. It's led me up to this point now of just being of trying to be of the utmost integrity, always having the highest moral, and trying to be as upfront and honest and sincere as I can with everyone I talk to, visit with, whether it's business, whether it's personal. To me, I want to be surrounded with people who are walking the same walk with me. And I hope and pray, if they're not, that I can bring them along that journey, because this has been amazing. And my wife and I always say, I can't imagine as we continue to go deeper what this is going to look like in another 1, 2, 3 years. So faith is extremely important to me. I don't ever want to push that on anybody at all. I just hope that I come across that this has been life-changing. But like I said, I get emotional when I think about what it's done for me, walking that walk, and and I think the only thing I've done different in the last 4 or 5 years than I did when I first got saved is just spending time with him on a daily basis. He just wants a relationship with you. And by simply having that relationship, you're still going to have tough times. We're still going to go through that. But boy, there is this peace knowing that he's with me and he's going to be with me the whole time. And the more that I continue to get to know him and get on a closer relationship, everything just seems to be a little smoother, not quite as up and down, not quite as rocky. Everything just seems to unfold itself daily in a much more peaceful manner, right? I'm not so chaotic and stressed out. Everything just seems to be a much more wonderful place. Again, I guess I give the word peace. I've never had this kind of peace about me in my entire life, and I just have to give thanks to the walk that I'm doing now. So again, I apologize if anybody's looking at this going, okay, this guy's a little freaky. No, it's a walk, right? So many, like I did, go to church on a Sunday. Maybe it's a couple of days a month, or maybe you go every Sunday. That's not the same journey we're on anymore. Now it's become this daily thing that my wife and I say, I cannot skip a day without spending at least a few minutes in the Word and a few minutes on my knees and just thanking him and then asking him for the things that we would love to have in our life, right? So it's this walk, and again, I apologize if I went off on that whole thing. It's just been an unbelievable ride for me. It really has. And I hope and pray anybody watching this would at least take the time to go, let me look into this, because this sounds very intriguing.
Well, I took you there, and I appreciate you sharing from your heart, truly.
Very, very welcome.
One more question for you.
Okay.
Out of all of this, your journey, you for me are an incredible inspiration. I know you, I know your heart. I've experienced your leadership, your team, the strength of what you've brought to all of us. It's my honor to be associated with you and the whole team, and I thank you for that. Thank you for what you offer to all of us. But what have I missed? What else do you want to add that you think people just need to know about you, about Sean?
Hmm. I think maybe if I just added on to what I just said there, I,
Hard to top that.
I, I truly care about people. They're not there's just success in life financially, but I hope and pray that, it's like my wife and I talk about, we've been married 28 years and, we've got all these families with divorces and just all this craziness going on. And it's like, we want to be the kind of couple and the kind of leaders that other people look at and be going, well, what is different? Okay, how did they make it 20 years? What's going on? And again, it almost all goes back to faith. And I always say to my children, I can't imagine today someone being married or in a relationship and they don't know the Lord, because we're all pulled in so many different, the craziness that we get on social media. Don't even go down that path of all the ways that we can all be pulled left and right into areas we know we shouldn't be. And unless you're walking a really strong walk, it's very hard to, I don't want to say avoid, but sometimes you're pulled into that because it's natural for us all to sin. We're pulled into it because of our flesh. So I say all that to go, if there's one thing I want everybody to know is this walk I'm talking about is very serious. It has entirely changed my life. And if I never meet you and you're looking at this, please just take a few minutes daily. Just if you don't even know who he is, just ask him, get on your knees and just say, will you please just come into my life? I'm hearing stories. I heard this young man talking online and it sounds like it's radically changed his life. Start to spend a few minutes with him. Ask him to come in your life. Thank him for I think we all take for granted. Most of us here in the United States, probably most 98% of us, we have shelter, we got food, we got clothing, we got all these things that we sometimes take for granted when looking at all these other countries and they don't have it. So sometimes just going down to the very basics and start off and thanking him for the very basic things we have, then begin to ask him for favor, ask him to come in your life, help him give you direction, help you with your business, help you with relationships, help you with your marriage, whatever it is. I think that's the one thing I would lean toward. I had no idea we're going this direction, Kelly, but it's, if that's the one thing I said is life looks so different for my wife and I now and for my kids. And again, I'm starting to continue to widen this relationship base I have of people that have come in community with us. And if they weren't followers, now all of a sudden they're starting to get on that same path with us. And I've watched a lot of people's lives change from that direction on a faith-based that now leads into everything else changing for the better. It really does if you'll start to walk that walk. So I'm just honored to be, first of all, to have you done this interview with me. I sincerely appreciate it. I know we've gone a long time, but I hope there's something out there for anybody that might view this that could be advantageous for them, their life, their family, their business. And if you have any curiosity about EXP, I would tell you, Kelly, you're one of the, I want to say this back to you. You're one of the most gifted people I've come across in our entire organization. You do so many different things that you're so good at, and you're one of the most detailed people I've ever met. That can, I've told you this all the time. You do so many things that blow all of our minds. So if you're someone who is truly looking to possibly take your real estate business to the next level, to team up with Kelly, and I mean this, Kelly, you are phenomenal at every single thing you do. And anybody that could partner with you, you've got a heart of gold. You're going to help them succeed in business at multiple levels. They can take the real estate business, you can help them there, but you can help them not only make more money, how to keep the money and how to grow the money because your financial wisdom and all that. So just hats off to you. You have been such a blessing for our team, and I really mean that.
Sean, thank you so much for gifting us with your time today, with your heart, with your spirit, with your walk. And it's been a journey, I know, for you. You, again, I'll repeat, you're such a motivation and an inspiration for all of us. And so, again, thank you for taking the time.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Kelly. I really do.
Take care.